androgynous, no gender whatsoever. Ymir, basically all of the parts from which the universe would be made. Somehow, some way, we don't know how, Odin, Vili, and they, three brothers, they spring out of nothingness, kill the giant, use him for parts, and make the known physical universe. The one where you are now, they made 9 worlds essentially. Well, they didn't make it, they certainly made this one. This one is known as?
Earth.
It is, well, we know it as Earth. To them it was called?
Midgard.
Midgard, yeah. J.R.R. Tolkien. We know of him from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
He would later call it Middle Earth. Yeah, Midgard. Yeah, it's Midgard. And so, Middle Earth. That's basically it. Or the Middle Home, or what have you. However, there were other lands, the lands of the gods, connected from our world here in Midgard by a rainbow. Anyone know the name of the rainbow? Sure you do, if you watch any of the movies.
Yes.
Well, you call it Bifrost. It's actually Bifrost.
Oh.
Yeah, they say Bifrost. It's actually Bifrost. That comes up into Asgard. It's actually A-S-A or Alsa. That is gods, the home of the gods. And so now you begin to hear these terms or things in movies like, oh, the Asgardians are a bunch of aliens. No, they were world creating deity. Anyway, so there, from the Rainbow Bridge, from here to Midgard, all the way up to Asgard, they would create these. We as humans had come about from driftwood. This is their creation myth, and it's pretty amazing. There's giant wars as well between the Vanir and the Aesir, the two classes of gods. The original fertility gods such as Faire and Freya, Njord and others as well. They would then fight against the new gods, Odin and Thor and Heimdallr. Eventually they would all come to peace and they would exchange hostages. So now we see Freya and Freya all in amongst Odin and Thor and everything else. Well, I told you all of that to tell you this. It was on that particular morning that the red-haired one then did rise. From his bed, he reached over with a mighty hand for his hammer, which we all know is Mjolnir. Only crying out for Mjolnir was not there. Loki! The one name he knew had something to do with it. It had to be the trickster god himself, who has stolen Mjolnir. Well, Thor, Loki! Cried out again. Loki said, I don't know what it is that you think I did, but I can guarantee you I wasn't there when you think I did it. What did I do? Where is Mjolnir? Mjolnir? No, I think you misunderstand. I helped you get that just recently. Where is it? I do not know where it is. I will go find it. I promise. I'll go find it. Go find it. I'm going to go. Would you stop it already? And so back into the Hall of Gods he goes. And there, to the most beautiful, radiant of goddesses, Freya, who had a feather cloak. One that, if you wear it, would allow you to fly. Loki knew about this feather cloak, and so came to Freya and said, may I borrow your feather cloak? And never. You see, Loki's already tricked Freya many times, very often trying to barter her a hand in marriage for some kind of a good. Loki did not understand that Freya was also one of the most powerful of beings. Not that she wasn't just a goddess. This is a warrior. You do not, children, piss off a warrior at all. And so Freya said, no, I'm not going to loan you my cloak. Mjolnir's missing. Thor apparently lost it, and I'm going to go look for it. Now Freya knew, without Mjolnir in Thor's hands, there's no way Asgard would be absolutely protected against the Jotuns, the giant people, a different class of gods, if you will. And so Freya said, though it were made of gold and silver, I gladly give it to thee. And Loki then puts on the cloak and starts flying around. 9 days and nights he does. Maybe you've seen him now in the shape of a falcon, flying high in the sky over here in Midgard after coming down the Bifrost Bridge. And then across the mountains that circle all of Midgard, of course. And there into the lands of the Jotun. Into Jotunheim they then go. And there sitting on a hill, the king of the giants, one Thrym by name. He sees a falcon approaching. And Loki the falcon now looks at him and says, excuse me, would you happen to know? Loki! I know your name. Tell me now why you are here before I snatch you from the air and crush you in my grip. I wanted to know if you happen to... Maybe you understand where Mjolnir is? Mjolnir! He laughed out loud, the ground now shaking. Mjolnir, under this ground I have buried 9 leagues under. Through powers of sorcery, I have stolen it. And naturally you get it back until Freya's hand in marriage I shall have. Look, he's like, oh, not again. All right, I'll go deliver the message. And so he does. All the way from Jotunheim again he does fly, across the mountains tall, all the way here to Midgard, up to the Bifrost Rainbow Bridge, and all the way up to Asgard, where there he sees a very impatient Thor pacing back and forth, wondering where he is, and then finally there he sees him and says, you there in the sky, do not sit down, otherwise you will fall asleep after your long journeys, and do not just lay down, otherwise you will definitely forget everything. Tell me now, where is Mjolnir? Well, I have good news, and I have bad news. Tell me! All right, fine. The giant Thrym has stolen Mjolnir through magic, buried it in a mountain, quite some deep distance. Get to the point! He doesn't want to give it back until he gets Freya's hand in marriage. This is easy. Freya, you're getting married! Now, Freya has, around her neck, a necklace known as the Brisingamon, something that was made for her by the dwarves, the best of the crafters ever. And this was unbreakable. It was made up of things like the sound of a cat's paw as it hits the ground, the whisper of a bird, impossible things, you know, or bird lips. That's why they don't exist now. They were put inside the necklace. Well, it was unbreakable. And so enraged she was that she would be held so cheaply as to be married off by Loki yet again. Her neck began to just become engorged, and the necklace itself almost snapped. Now meanwhile, up there on the Bifrost Bridge stands Heimdallr, looking out over all the worlds. He hears all, he sees all, always watching, always listening, for that time, at the end of time, that time known as Ragnarok, that time when the Jotuns do come from across the plains, rising on up with Loki there, leading them across the battlefield, and then Odin now rides there on the 8-legged steed Sleipnir, coming out. He waits now, Heimdallr, for that moment. Then he shall raise Gjallarhorn, blow that single blow that will alert all of the gods to wake up from their long slumber, and then finally bring the end of all things. But today was not that day. Instead, there was an argument, so we went into the hall to go find out what was up. And so the tale was told to him. The giant by the name of Thrym took Mjolnir, will not give it back unless he gets Freya's hand in marriage. Heimdallr thinks, being wise. They call him Heimdallr the White because of his long white beard. A symbol of wisdom, sir. Yeah! A symbol of age and experience. People like us would never have survived unless we had our smarts with us the entire time. And so, my wise friend thought for a moment and said, Freya, if you don't mind, go and get your wedding dress. The one with the veil that covers the face. Freya looked at him. All right, fine. And she came back, indeed, with her dress. The part with the veil as well. Handed it over to Heimdallr. Heimdallr looked at it. Hey, Thor, put this on. What? I am a god of thunder! I am not a dress wearer! All the gods will think I am a pervert. Very different times. All the gods will think I am a pervert, the land rat here and all the whites. I am a god of thunder, not of finery and silk. I do not think you understand. I don't think you understand, Heimdallr. I was not meant. It is our custom. It is not my custom to be wearing a dress. Thor, you will need to listen. It is our custom that when you get married, the man should go into a burial mound if need be, an ancestor burial mound, and retrieve from it the finest of blades, or the finest of axes, or the finest of spearheads from his ancestors, and lay this weapon, the best of his weapons, across the lap of the bride. I am not interested in getting any kind of... He has Mjolnir. He has Mjolnir. Fine, I put it on. Loki's like, whoa, I get to be a handmaiden. And so they both get dressed. Thor's wife, Sif, comes over and puts a belt of keys, a symbol of prosperity and the true nature of the woman in an ancient Scandinavian home. You, madam, had all the keys to all the treasures. You ran everything in that house. And when we say who's through, a housewife, we're not talking Windex and Roombas. We're talking, you know, self-defense. You know everything about running that. And when he comes home, guess who he answers to? And so that symbol of those keys, the symbol of that kind of power and wealth, would be worn around your waist. Everything, you like this premise. I see a smile there. Everything that we wore back then was a symbol of wealth. Even the length of this, a symbol of wealth. How many more plants needed to be grown, harvested, threshed, spun, and woven to make just an extra 3 inches of material? Now think about that. You're looking at another month's worth of work. So that's impressive. And so you have all these things. And so Thor's wife, Sif, came and adorned him. Gifun, a goddess of marriage, came over and placed the wedding crown upon his head. Had the veil come down to here. And everything was working well. There was a veil that kind of covered the beard too, but the eyes were a major problem. Because Thor, this entire time, raging like lava rising up from the ground, red and lightning striking across the eyeballs. So enraged he was that he would have to look like this. Gifun just took that other veil and said, this will work. And lowered it over his eyes. But the illusion was not yet complete, because Freya also happens to have a chariot that is pulled by 2 cats, and everyone knew that. So it was necessary, get the chariot, get Freya in there, and get a handmaiden also to go. Now the illusion was complete. They had now begun their journey, coming down out of Asgard, down Bifrost and here into Midgard. Maybe you've seen them. And then riding across through the mountains at the edge of the world, across those, the Jotunheim itself, there into the land of the giants, only to be seen in advance by the giant king's very greedy sister. Looking out the window now, she sees the beautiful Freya now approaching, along with a handmaiden in a chariot drawn by cats. Brother, oh brother of mine, the gold and the silver, the bridal gift now comes our way. This would be fantastic riches. Then we can afford an army to be able to take over all of Asgard. I'll be able to take it all, sister. Relax now. First, hospitality. I'd like you to clean all this up. Servants, fetch forth the giant barrels of mead. We shall lay out a feast that Freya and or the Aesir shall never forget. I shall sit here at this end of the table. Freya and the handmaiden will sit over here. We shall lay down here upon these benches the finest of clean straw. They shall know that we are wealthy. Apparently, if you had straw on your benches, you're like, where do you get? I mean, it's not like they had IKEA, so it's So lay out the straw there on the floor and upon the benches. We shall be comfortable. Now I want 5 heads of oxen. 9 crates of salmon, 5 barrels of mead. This shall be a feast for a Jotun to marry a god. Well, they were finally greeted there at the door by the sister. The sister said, you don't have any friends here, you see. But I will be your friend. If you give me all the gold and silver you currently have on you, you may purchase my friendship. And in so doing, I can guarantee that none of these Jotuns who hate you will actually harm you. What do you say? Now, Thor at this time, his hand is on the oaken doorway, begins to squeeze it tight. Loki then said, no, I think that's going to be a wonderful plan. Why don't we make these financial arrangements later? And in the meantime, I'm sure that Freya here will be just fine with this arrangement as well. Thor's like, and starts coming in. Loki then leads the way. Freya comes in. The two of them are sat as instructed. Thrym at this end of the table now. A giant feast table with all the foods on it, pastries as well, everything. All the stops were pulled. Here, Freya, Thor Freya, and Loki handsmaiden. The feast now begins. There's a little bit of music in the air. Allow your minds to picture this now as here you sit on the straw. Music in the world. All around, servants begin serving mead out of giant barrels that they had taken to carry in and lay there in the corners. The servants are feeding everywhere. Everyone. This is a beautiful thing. And then Thrym sees what is happening. From across the way, he sees the mighty Freya shoveling food in under the veil. Salmon just begins disappearing into the mouth and pulling back out, just a skeleton. Barrels of mead now going down Freya's mouth. And Loki himself, I'm going to take this and this and this and this, and all the little pastries start disappearing. Thrym is amazed, absolutely enthralled. How can she eat as much as me? I've never even seen her eyes. I must see her eyes, for I hear they are the color of the sky. He starts making his way down. Loki with a horn of mead in one hand and a haunch of oxen in the other. Even he, as quick as he is, could not stop the mighty Thrym from lifting up the veil. Recoiling in horror did Thrym. Now said, but why would she hate me so? She looks like she has such anger in her eyes. No, my lord, my lord, said Loki, the handmaiden. I assure you, traveling 9 days and nights does tire you out. She was so incredibly nervous that she couldn't sleep. She was nervous that she would not be able to please you. There's children in the audience, you can derive the meaning. Huh. So, you're saying, I'm saying that her eyes are bloodshot. Seems legit. Goes back, sits down, the feast now continues. All 5 heads of oxen now gone. The 5 barrels of mead almost entirely gone. All the pastries gone. 9 crates of salmon gone. And 1 very drunk Thrym at the end of the table. He only got 1 barrel of mead. They got 4. So now he's looking. I have loved you for a very long time. And I want to say that I shall kiss you! And he starts charging down towards the end of the table. But Loki was ready this time. No, my lord! Already he knew, I need to protect Thor against Thrym, or at least the illusion of all of this. My lord, I understand, and you sincerely wish my lady here for a kiss. However, I think that would be, well, let's just say those 9 days and nights worth of travel have also caused her to be quite hungry. You see, she's not eaten this entire time. Her little delicate tummy, which has not eaten much of anything, is rumbling now. And now she's really feasting. She's been waiting up just for you see, saving her appetite just for you. Thrym said, yes, all right. Don't you believe now we should get the wedding underway? Yes, the wedding, yes, of course, yeah, we will get sister of mine. I need to lay my best whipping now here upon the lap of my would-be bride. Go and fetch from the mountain now, Mjolnir. Bring it here to me. The servants and the sister now go to the mountain and retrieve through powers of sorcery the mighty Mjolnir. Bring it back to the hold and lay it, or give it to Thrym. Thrym now takes the short-handled hammer and lays it upon Thor's lap. This was a mistake. Somewhere in the 9 worlds, thunder began to rumble there in the sky as the thunderer's hand reached for the short-handled hammer. Lightning then began to strike all the world as Thor finally stood up, now with Mjolnir in hand, ripped off the veil, politely folded it because Frey would kill him if it were destroyed, held Mjolnir on high, and the sister's head, who through all the entire feast had been yammering, gold and silver, and I'd become your friend. Each time Thor, without a weapon in his hand, simply gripping the edge of the table, itself now turning to sawdust no more. Now with Mjolnir in hand, her head came clean off of her shoulders and burst into a spray of meat and brains. You didn't have to hear this story, did you? The servants were next, and Thrym himself, there in the corner, in my version of the story, drunk, cowardly, not understanding, begins to finally get his wits all about him and ends up picking up chairs and tables and stools and throws it at Thor. But Thor at this time had already grabbed Mjolnir, and what did he do? He let it slip. The last thing that Thrym saw that day was a mighty iron-headed hammer heading straight, and that was it. When all the damage was done, the feast was over, Loki crawled out from underneath the table. Well, glad I could help you. What do you say we go back? The mighty Thor, in merely a dress and nothing more, said, yeah, I need to get out of this thing. And so back to Asgard they did go, and that is the story of how Thor lost and got back Mjolnir. Now, typically, I would continue to talk for another half hours. Let me get some water. Anyway, that is called Thrimskvida. All throughout the day, I'll be telling you more about Vikings, about 1,200-year-old stories like that. These are actual stories that were told back then. These are not made up. So yeah, the Vikings actually love the stories of cross-dressing gods and plenty of humor. So come on back a little bit later. I'll be more than happy to tell you guys some more. Until then, Scar.